All right, so here are some Detroit Lions free agents from 2024. This is the list that the Detroit Free Press compiled. And there's some big names on this list. And Ken, give me a gut reaction on what you'd want to do.
What I want to do or what I think is going to happen?
What you want to do. How about, what you want to do and what you think will happen.
Bam.
You can say keep, release, or whatever.
Okay.
Safety, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's only 26.
I think he is done here. His time is done here, and I think that's a good idea. I think they should both move on. Want and do.
Okay.
And actual do. Yep.
So that's what you would say let him go, and you think the Lions let him go too.
Yep. You?
I have a feeling they're going to offer him a 1-year deal to stick around.
Okay.
But I could see it both ways. So I don't want to waffle on it. No, you know what? I'm gonna agree with you because here's what I think. I think after having him for a season, and they talk a big game about the kind of player that they want, I think he might talk too much for their liking.
No, actually, listen. The thing is, I don't mind the swag that he brings onto the field and the energy, because that is energy as well.
That is energy.
I think he's going to have a problem not starting. Like when they first brought him back, when he came back from that torn pec, which, by the way, people should applaud him for. You know?
That was really pretty tough.
They mentioned 3 safeties back there, and he's like, I never played in a backfield with 3 safeties before. What is this? I think he's a guy who wants to, and I understand, wants to start and be on the field a lot. But with the development of Melon Fonwu, him and Kirby Joseph, that's my starting safety. And so I just don't have room for Gardner-Johnson. I don't think he wants to be the 3rd safety on a team.
Yeah, and if the Lions were to sign him, I would imagine it's another 1-year deal if they were going to throw it at him, and he's likely to get a better offer from somebody else with more guaranteed money that somebody might step up and say, okay, here's a 2 or 3 year deal. Defensive end Romeo Okwara. He is 29.
I think they will move on, and I'm okay with that.
I agree. Defensive end Charles Harris. He is also 29.
I think they will move on, and I'm okay with that.
I am too, although I saw a really nice piece about him the other day helping some kids out from Detroit. That was really cool.
You know what he is? He's Michael Brockers. Like, he was a captain. They love him in the locker room, but he just didn't produce on the field. He produced for 1 year. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, last year he had a little bit of a year.
Yeah, and then I think it's just time to move on because you can't. He's healthy scratches at the end of the year.
Yeah, Brockers hardly played.
No, he didn't even do anything. But he was a captain.
He was a great guy in the room, and they brought him here for a reason. And I think Brockers maybe it'd be an interesting question to ask Dan Campbell and ask Brad Holmes of the impact that Brockers had on the team despite not really playing. That kind of helps set the tone of what you wanted from this team, such a young team.
I get it, but they don't need it anymore. They needed it before.
Now these guys are all battle tested. They can break other guys in. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley. He is 28, and obviously he got hurt last year. Was hurt when they signed him and hurt when he left.
Oof. All right. I wouldn't mind bringing him back on another 1-year deal. That's very risky, of course, because this is back-to-back years. I think they move on, but I wouldn't mind bringing him back personally for a 1-year deal.
I also would bring him back. I'm going to try to see if I have his forget what he made last year.
It had to have been like $2 million or less, right? Or something in that range.
He made $3 million on that last year.
Yeah,
about $3 million base salary. No, more than that. $1 million signing bonus. And then he had a roster bonuses there as well. So he made like $4.5 million.
You know, if this takes another year, I take it back. I think maybe it is time to move on. That's 2 years in a row of not playing.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Kind of. But plus, I'd rather spend the money on somebody that has a more proven track record. Graham Glasgow, guard. He's 32 years old, but also obviously a very competent guard, can play center. That's huge.
I think they bring him back, and I want him back.
I think they bring him back. I want him back. And you're not going to have to pay him north of $10 million. You might have to pay him $5 million.
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, like, people that are scared that he may cost a lot, remember a guy, and I think you love this guy too, Evan Brown.
Yeah.
All right, you thought, like, a lot of people thought that this guy, he's gonna command too much money. I don't think he went to the Seahawks, I believe, for not a lot of money. And so I think you can get Glasgow at a good, fair price and bring him back. And like you said, he's versatile and he played well.
And he wants to be here. And he said that the Lions want him there. So they can get something worked out. Jonah Jackson, the other guard, 27 years old.
Okay, so I'm going to factor into what he's going to cost. With that being said, I don't want him back because I think it's 15 plus million, maybe even close to 20 million a year. And I don't think they bring him back for that reason. I think he's just too expensive. Very, very good player, obviously. This is about contract.
If it's to the point where, let's say, he gets a 3-year, $45 million deal from some team.
Yeah.
I think I might be surprised if that's the price. I think that might be high.
Laken Tomlinson makes $13.3 million a year, and I don't think he's ever made a Pro Bowl.
Former Lion.
Yeah. Jonah Jackson's a Pro Bowl guard. I just don't see how he goes south of 15. If I'm his agent, I'm going, it's going to cost you 18.
Well, but here's the other thing. Is this where the lure of playing for the Lions comes in and you say, you know what, I'll take less to play for a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl? Because a team that's going to pay him is likely to be a team that's not.
Or not. I mean, what if the Jets go out there? They have Super Bowl aspirations. But you know what I'm saying? Like a team like that goes on.
Just felt like making fun of the Jets. Hal Vaitai, gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's
easy enough to say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got some guy, Dan Skipper, reporting eligible. I mean, for like $1 million a year.
Yeah, bring it back.
I don't mind bringing it back. Kicker, Badgley.
Bring in some competition.
You have to. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver, 29 years old, coming off a really good year, and all people are going to remember are 2 drop passes in the NFC Championship game.
I mean, that guy, other than that last game, was so solid for this team. Like, how many percentages of his catches were for first downs, right? Or a touchdown?
Oh, yeah.
He had that crazy stat. I think he's this year's Jamal Williams. And what I mean by that, I think he wants to come back. I think the team tells him they want him back. But this is where we go, how much are you worth? And maybe, I don't know if he doesn't like the offer the Lions give or the Lions, because he's a guy who I think might have peaked. And it's not, I don't want to be disrespectful because he's a very important player to this team, but you have a guy like Jameson Williams that you probably want to give more targets to. Mm-hmm. You can probably draft or find someone that has a higher ceiling than Josh Reynolds. You have Khalif Raymond still on the team. I think he's this year's victim of, we've squeezed, the most we can out of you. We're going to move on. I think this is a type of player that Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, but Campbell mentioned that you're not going to bring everybody back. I think he's one of the casualties.
He's an interesting one to look at because I don't think he didn't make a ton of money. This is a guy who made, I think, 1.8 last year in base salary. He had a $750,000 signing bonus, a roster bonus, and all this. So all told, like somewhere around $3 million. But he's also coming off his second best year. You mentioned the first down rate, okay, which is really extraordinary. He caught 40 passes last year. 32 of them were for first downs.
That's what I meant.
That's 80% of all his catches went for first downs. He only had a couple of drops in the regular season. Unfortunately, the 2 drops in the playoff. But also had a career high in touchdowns, tied a career high with the 5. Had 600 yards receiving. I mean, he was a big part of it. There's a big part of me that says bring him back because he's not that expensive. And I do want to give J-Mo more time. Absolutely. I think J-Mo deserves more time. I'll bring him back, but it's a 1-year deal. And I don't think you even consider anything more than that. And I don't know if at 29 years old as a wide receiver in the National Football League, it's hard to think you're going to get a big-time contract unless
you're one of the big guys.
You're one of the big guys, and he's not.
No.
So I don't think there is harm with bringing him back, but you have to be careful about what that number is. But it's a 1-year deal again. So either works or it doesn't next year, and you can move on from it because it's a 1-year deal, which is what Brad Holmes does.